Hello and welcome to the meeting room out of office here at the Meeting Show. I'm joined by the COO of Realize, Richard John. Welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Sure.
Paul. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. You having a good show?
Always good to be here. Nice to be seeing some old faces. I have to be careful when I say old, of course. I mean, familiar.
Familiar faces. Now, you're here because you just launched a new guide called Behind the Mic last week, hot off the press. Can you tell us about it? What's it all about?
Well, I put this guide together with a very good friend of mine, Claire Forestier, who some of your listeners and viewers will know, who's been in the industry, dare I say this, she's been in the industry quite a while. She's a former BBC journalist who now acts as an MC. And
I've seen her. She's a fantastic MC.
She is indeed. She's brilliant, and she really knows her stuff, and she understands our industry. And this book came out of a wine-fueled conversation when we were talking about the fact that as an industry, we have clients who will use terms like speaker, presenter, keynote, panelist, and then also words like facilitator and moderator. And a couple of problems. One is we have no real agreed terms about what do we mean by this. And secondly, the issue is that our clients and organizers, and of course their clients, the end users, often don't understand what these people should do and shouldn't do. So we put this guide together with the intention of saying, this is what these people do. Let's have some definitions and let's understand when you should use them, when you shouldn't use them, and what you should expect from them. And that was the starting point.
Fantastic. And so what did you come up with?
Well, we identified all these roles, and I think there's a couple of things. Sometimes what companies will do is they'll say, and certainly in Claire's case, they'll say, right, well, we need you. You're an MC, so you're great. Oh, by the way, can you also do this and this and this? And she's very honest, and she'll go, no, that's not my role. That's not what I should be doing. You have to have very clear ideas about what you expect from your keynotes and how you want to use them, what you expect someone to do in terms of facilitation and moderation. And so sometimes you'll have someone who say, well, we've got the chair. The chair can also be the facilitator and the moderator. They're very, very different sets of skills. So sometimes an organization might say, well, our managing director can be the person who's the chair. That doesn't make them a good MC. It doesn't make them a good master of ceremony. It doesn't mean that they're very good at linking everything. And of course, they may also have very, very strong opinions. So that doesn't make them a good facilitator or moderator. To some extent, you could argue a facilitator might be someone who's there to take the audience through a journey, and there are tools that they will do. You can be trained to be a facilitator. Not anyone can do it. And then the moderator, people often use the terms interchangeably, but there is a bit of difference. Someone needs to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, and that by everyone, that also includes the voice of the audience. Those are skilled jobs. I think sometimes we forget that the person who goes on stage, the people who go on stage, they have a variety of roles to fill. There's probably not one person who can do it all. And there are a lot of professionals because that is their job.
Yeah. I mean, people can often get thrown into these roles and find themselves doing things that they weren't expecting to do. Is this kind of helping to define their roles a bit more there?
I think so. I think it's about defining roles and also helping people, if they want to grow into certain roles, they can, but they need to understand that there's a bit of difference. So you've gone on stage as a presenter. You've performed in a certain way. You might now feel that you can do something else. Maybe you're going to be a panelist or you're going to moderate a session. You have to step out of presenter role because now it's not about you. Now it's about you doing something else. So you have to understand there are these set of skills that people can do and can't do.
It's a bit like the difference between all the positions on a sports team, maybe.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good analogy. And you have to be able to understand what you can do and can't do. So as always, I'm happy to hold myself up as an example. I'm often asked to speak at events about a particular topic. I will happily do that. People know that I'll probably say a few things that will upset and annoy. I can be a bit Marmite-ish. I'm at an age now where I don't have that many filters. But I think that's great. And then people might say to me, Richard, do you mind being a panelist? So I'm often happy to be a panelist because I like having a good argument. And I know sometimes people will use me as a panelist because I will stir up and annoy the other panelists, which gives the audience something to watch. What I can't do very well is facilitate. because facilitation often involves getting other people's opinions. And now I don't care about other people's opinions, but at least I'm honest about it. So I think the important thing is to say there are exactly with you. I love your football, for example, analogy. You have people who have defined positions. They can move a little bit. If I was anything of a football fan, I probably know this. The people on the front line, the centre forwards, probably can come back a bit, but you don't put them in defence and you don't put them in goal. Those aren't their skills. They have a degree of flexibility, but not that much. And I think one of the things I would say, again, Claire and I are passionate about the fact that if you do events, if you do conferences and meetings, they're there for a purpose. It's there to change what people do. You want to address people's issues. You want to change how they think, how they feel, and then get them to do something different. So every session inside a conference, for example, has to be designed with that focus in mind. And therefore you have to think, who is the best person to engender that change? And not just say, oh, we've had 3 speakers, one after the other, we better have a panel, because that's not going to do anything for anyone.
Yeah. Now, you talk about doing things for a change. You've done something for a bit of a change. You've written a book.
Oh, thank you very much for the plug. Absolutely, yes.
Which I happen to have. Yeah.
There's one we made earlier.
It's called The Tax. It's a romantic comedy. You say you write 1 book a decade, a novel a decade.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll try and increase it, because I've had some delightful feedback. But I should also explain one of the reasons I should mention this. You know how you can watch TV in an evening, and if you watch dramas, there are plenty of industries that are represented. So there's plenty of doctors and nurses and lawyers and vets and bankers and politicians. But when did you last see a documentary where the hero was a meetings planner?
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things is when we want to talk about what we do, sometimes it can be difficult because people who aren't in the know can't relate to anything. You know what a doctor does because you watch Casualty. Meetings planner, not quite so sure about that. Yeah. So this isn't a textbook about the industry. It's a rom-com in which my hero is actually someone who works in our crazy industry.
Wow. And they're a hero and they're an event prof. That's the representation that the event community needs in the world of culture. So thank you very much for doing that, Richard.
Oh, it was my pleasure. My pleasure.
And thank you very much for joining me today on the Meeting Room Out of Office.